Welcome to this video. Thank you so much for being here. So, a few days ago, I did a post on really honouring the women that I have been witnessing in my life, and just witnessing in the social sphere, in the social ecosphere, and just being a witness to some amazing human beings with profound energy, and just being so present to their own growth, their own journey. And it's been a beautiful exploration and quite a profound thing to observe and to see in others. And that particular post was about honouring women that have been through so much pain and so much trauma, not only at the hands of individual men, but the social construct of patriarchy and the history of oppression and suppression and pain and so forth that has taken place, and holding this innate ability to be deeply present, to be deeply compassionate, deeply forgiving, deeply open. It's been it's mind-blowing and revelatory to be able to watch this and observe what happens, not only in my own self, in my own being, when I'm observing this kindness, this extreme kindness, this care, this power, this compassion, this love, this presence that's emanating from these beautiful women that are just making a choice to bask in forgiveness and bask in compassion, bask in understanding, and bask in how can we, in reverence and revering men, revering their own selves and revering men. This is changing the greater collective energy, and it's so deeply overwhelming and quite confronting at the same time for men, because it's so new. We're not accustomed to this in our society, because in our society, when you look at the way we function, look at our legal system. If you do something wrong, or you do something bad, or you hurt someone, you're reprimanded for it. There is no forgiveness, there is no compassion, there is no empathy, there is no healing that transpires, there is no opportunity for growth, like real, substantial, deep, for lack of a better term, spiritual growth. There is no opportunity for connectedness. What generally happens is, when we are reprimanded in our society, we move further down the rabbit hole of disconnection and fracture. We move further down the rabbit hole of not being authentic, not being able to have another opportunity to be a more connected, present human being, a more compassionate human being. So what I'm observing, this complete worship that certain women in my life that have been around me, certain women in my life that have been around me are worshipping the masculine energy within themselves, the masculine expression within themselves, and honouring the masculine expression within men within our society. And it's I'm telling you now, this is fucking life transformative. It is taking our society to another level. It is taking our collective interactions to another level. It's amazing. Hi, Emma. Hello to everybody, by the way, who is joining. Thank you so much. I'm in Auckland today. I have to think about that. I'm in Auckland today. I'm in Wellington tomorrow, Wanaka the day after, Sydney the day after that, and then I'll be back back home in Perth. So I'm in New Zealand at the moment. Beautiful place. So this worship, it's literally a worship that is taking place. Like, it is literally a worship that is taking place. It's a homage and a reverence that is taking place, irrespective of what is happening. And what I'm observing is that these beautiful women, these connected women, are of course not allowing themselves to continue to be hurt, or they're not placing themselves in danger. They're respecting their own healthy boundaries because they understand themselves, they know themselves, they're connected to who they are, and they're setting an inspirational example for so many human beings, for all of us. And this live feed is really to elaborate and to continue to pay homage and respect to the women that are paying homage and respect to men, and seeing men for who they are, for their potential. I often hear, where are all the conscious men? Where is all the conscious cock? Where are men? Where are all the good men? Where have they all gone? And there's generally two camps. People will either think and believe that there are no good men around, or very, very few, they're just seldom, they're like, needle in a haystack, or that the conscious men are everywhere. And I tend to agree with the latter, that there are beautiful human beings, conscious, aware human beings that are wanting to make a sincere difference and transformation in their own lives for the better, to reach and maximize and express and live their potential, but also for others. And there's this balance of selfish selflessness, is a term that I use, selfish selflessness or enlightened self-interest, that takes place where they're focusing on their own well-being and who they are as people, but simultaneously focusing on others. And this is what I'm witnessing in these beautiful women that are coming from a place of pain and disconnection. They're coming from a place of, where do I go next? Where can I go? And they're saying, well, how about, instead of being angry, instead of being full of rage, instead of being so deeply frustrated, instead of being so deeply disconnected, instead of hating, instead of perpetuating hate, why don't I release, accept, forgive, and be different within myself? Nikki, how are you? Welcome. This forgiveness is fucking phenomenal. Because most of us in our lives have experienced, when we do something that is not socially acceptable or acceptable from a familial perspective or in our peer groups, we're reprimanded for it. We are punished for it. Now, what I'm viewing in these amazing women is saying, no more fucking punishment. It's not getting us anywhere. We're not living from an authentic, congruent place anymore. So how do we break this vicious cycle? What if we forgive ourselves? What if we forgive others? And what if we focus on the beauty that men hold, particularly the masculine energy, which is, most would say, largely dominant in men. But of course it exists in all gender forms. But this masculine energy, how can we release that into the ether in a healthy way? And Andrew, we do need to forgive our past, because that's where it begins. It begins with forgiving ourselves. Now, what this gesture, this collective gesture, is doing for the men, for the collective men in this world, is allowing men to forgive themselves. Because what happens is men get caught in this fucking vicious cycle of, well, I've been bad, I've done these bad things, I have too much shame and guilt around releasing that, I may as well continue the journey that I'm on because at least it's familiar. And at least, you know what? It's somewhat safe. People expect it, and I expect it. Safe for me because it's familiar and I can expect it. And this is the unconscious / potentially conscious dialogue that men have. So what we're doing is perpetuating more violence, more pain, more aberrant behaviour. And we're not growing and we're not learning from who we are and what we've been and what we've done. And this has been continuing for thousands of years. So what I'm noticing now, this movement, this conscious movement, conscious just being another term for awareness, this awareness of what is actually occurring below the superficial, beyond the superficial, through all the layers of what is actually occurring in life, is that women are saying no more. It's not because men don't have the capacity to forgive themselves. They do, we do. It's not because men don't have the capacity to go deeper. We have capacity and propensity to go to great depth. And I know this firsthand, and I know this firsthand for myself and the people that I work with as well, the people that I spend my time with, the beautiful conscious men that I spend my time with, and conscious women. But women are saying, men need us and we need men. This is the truth of it. This is what it's about. Men need us, men need women, women need men. People need people, full stop. We're relational, social beings. So we've hit a breaking point in our relational interactions, in the way we dynamically, intimately relate, and we're saying to ourselves at some level, whether it be unconscious or conscious, because it's evident in our actions, the collective actions that are transpiring in society today at a global level, geopolitical, socioeconomic, so much. Hi EJ, how are you? We're realizing that we need each other. So I'm observing And I'm observing men do this as well, yeah? I'm observing men do this as well. And the reason why I'm it's not that I'm honouring women more than I'm honouring men, not at all. There's an equity in the honouring. But this particular live feed is honouring women, and I'll be very specific as to why. Because when we look back at history, and if we look back at different subgroups within society, we're seeing that women have been far more oppressed and far more suppressed and harmed as opposed to men. Men have dominated social structures through patriarchal systems for so long, for so many years, thousands of years. So this tribute is honouring the women that are moving beyond and past that, not holding on to that with pain because they realise that pain is perpetuating more and more within themselves. And they're forgiving themselves, forgiving the collective, forgiving the history, forgiving men, and providing an opportunity for us to grow. And you're absolutely right, EJ. Patriarchy in and of itself suppresses and oppresses men deeply, and it isn't recognised. Because when there's no balance, there's oppression everywhere. When there is no balance and harmony in the way we coexist or the way we exist, when there is no coexistence and we're existing as individuals, all subgroups, all people, all gender types, all races, all creeds, we're all suppressed. We all oppress because we're limiting our potential for expression, and we're limiting our potential for being. We're limiting our potential for touching and living our potential. So oppression occurs everywhere when one group oppresses another, whether it's unconscious or conscious, whether it's purposeful or not intended. We are all losing, per se. So understanding this and being very deeply connected to this truth is allowing us to forgive and move forward. Now, what is moving forward? What does it mean? We sort of don't know. We know, but we don't know. We know from a point of intuition and intrinsic value. We understand that. We can connect to that. We can feel that. But we don't know per se because we've never actualized it. It's only beginning to be actualized now, this connection that is taking place between the masculine and the feminine, this connection that's taking place between men and women, this oppression that is lowering, this overall societal oppression that is lowering, and we're becoming more equitable in who we are while still being able to maintain our authentic expressions as men and women. And this becomes really interesting because now the way we sexually relate changes, the way we spiritually relate changes, the way we emotionally relate changes, the way we relationally relate changes. And that's beautiful, Mickey. Absolutely. Moving forward is moving inward. And by that, the way I interpret that is that we're all being able to connect to the true essence of who we are. We're accepting ourselves at deeper and deeper levels. Self-worth is rising within us. So when we are able to rise within ourselves and touch that potential and actualize it, it becomes so powerful. I want to read what EJ's written here. Give me a moment. Men are emotionally suppressed. We as women have a beautiful ability to hold space for them, to open their hearts and be vulnerable, but we have to heal our own wounds around the masculine, as you said. Absolutely, EJ, it's beautifully said. And beautiful as well, Amanda, forgive and love yourself, to let go. Ask what is taught you and let judgment go. It's all perfect. Grow from it. And when we can come to that place, and this is the honouring of the feminine right now, because the feminine within men as well has a capacity to do this. And I've experienced this directly when I was working with my mentor last year. And she was a beautiful woman who taught me how to, and of course I'm still learning, we're always learning and growing, but laid tremendous foundations for me to really understand my own feminine within myself and the role of that expressive archetype and what it did for me, and holding my own self, my own pain, and receiving that, and being compassionate to self and allowing self-worth and self-value and the intrinsic nature of the value that I held within myself to be expressed, to be held, to be felt, to be allowed to be present, was very powerful. And what EJ mentioned earlier was that the feminine has a tremendous capacity to do this, again, within men and within women. It's beginning with women because it's more apparent, it's more obvious. And what I'm witnessing in some of the beautiful women that are on this live feed right now, I'm very blessed to have these women here, to have you here, and to be sharing your wisdom and your gifts and your truth, and just watching, just observing, because that influences the essence of this message, is that, again, repetition is a key to mastery, and this forgiveness and compassion that is taking place is so beautiful. And men, I want to tell you, if you're watching this video, don't be overwhelmed by the compassion. Don't fall deeper into shame and guilt. It's not being done. It's not being held from that intention or that space. I can vouch for that because I feel it. I know that. It's coming from a place of release and surrender, something that men aren't very good at. And men aren't often very good at being present either, because the collective energy of the masculine is unhealthy. We are given an opportunity as men to step into our healthy presence, to step into our healthy masculine selves, to come from a place of inclusivity, to come from a place of equity, to come from a place of also forgiveness of self, to be supported through that forgiveness so that we then can express the fullness of who we are and be of service to the women in our lives, to be of service to the divine feminine in our lives, within ourselves as a starting point, because that's where it originates. When you feel that directly yourself, that's power. And then to give that to the women in your life. The Indian mysticism says that the most profound form of experience is direct experience. But we are relational beings, so we can learn indirectly, of course, and we can grow indirectly. But at some point, we have to step into our own skin and really be aware and attentive of who we are and how we're choosing to move through the world. Nikki, that is so beautiful. Danielle, how are you? When we as women can hold space for ourselves, then we are able to hold space for men. And this is the movement, the transition that I'm observing so deeply, so profoundly, so beautifully. I'm observing, Nikki, that women are beginning to hold space for themselves, but in the most feminine of ways. They are respecting, revering, and honoring themselves. And in doing so, it's so beautiful to witness that we as men are humbling to that. We as men are succumbing to that, are being connected deeply to that. And we're in humility to that. And this is what this live feed is about. It's a tribute and homage to the humility that is taking place within me, because it's opening me up. And if it's happening in me, I'm sure it's happening in other men as well. And to be able to witness that, and to be able to feel that, and then to be able to say to self, wow, okay, so what do I do with this now? What can I do with this now? I've been given a gift. Do I let the gift go, or do I embrace this gift and be present to what is occurring, and perhaps step into the unknown? And step into the unknown, and what does it mean to step into the unknown? We do things differently, we do relationships differently, we relate to ourselves differently, like we've never related before. Now, I like the unknown, and to me it's taken a few years to cultivate a liking to the unknown, but I don't look at the unknown from a place of hindrance or despair or fear. I mean, sometimes there's fear there, absolutely, but I primarily look at it from a place of excitement and possibility. And this way that we're relating to each other now, I mean, it's going next level, just next level. Every level of interaction is just transmuting. And it is because we are choosing to share ourselves openly. It's because women are taking a step forward, being vulnerable and saying, you know what? Fuck you, I forgive you. Fuck you, I won't stop forgiving you. And men are saying, you know what? It's time to open my heart space up a little more. It's time to get connected a little more. It's time to break convention and norms a little more. And we're honouring each other. It's a cyclical honouring that's taking place, a cyclical reverence and respect that is taking place. And it is amazing to watch unfold. It is amazing and humbling to observe and feel and know that there is another way. That segregation and divide needn't be the norm anymore. That oppression and hate and this attachment to the past needn't be the norm anymore. And we can choose to surround ourselves with people that care for us, that love us, that respect us, that revere us, that honor who we are. And we have this choice, because when we begin to notice it in others, we can begin to notice it in ourselves, and therefore we can begin to draw that and bring that into our lives. And what we don't resonate with, what we do not value, we can say goodbye to. We can say, this is the man I want to be, this is the woman I want to be, this is the person I want to be, this is the human being I wish to be, this is how I wish to articulate myself, this is how I wish to connect, this is how I wish to be. And this is the life I will live. Andrew, brother, when you forgive yourself, you will notice the others that have forgiven you already and that will continue to forgive you. Because you bring it into your neural attentive sphere of awareness, and you bring it into your emotional sphere of awareness. And it becomes part of your life. It becomes everyday part of your life. This forgiveness piece is massive. And this is the shift that I'm seeing in society, this forgiveness piece. It's a massive forgiveness piece. And forgiveness is supported by compassion and empathy and wisdom. This forgiveness piece is supported by knowledge and release. This forgiveness piece is putting the ego aside for a moment, or the various layers of the ego aside, and saying, if we continue to live like this, we're just going to continue to segregate and separate and divide ourselves. So this live feed is about honouring every human being for the work they are doing, for the effort they are putting into themselves, for the love they are sharing, for the barriers they are breaking through, for the shadow self they are exploring, for the depths of pain they are traversing, to get to a place where, see, this is the thing, we're surface level beings so much, we're prima facie beings. What we see, we think has been there the whole time. You know, we see these women forgiving, being compassionate, being open, worshipping men, like literally worshipping men, you know, bathing them if they could, doing everything they can for them. We think, oh, okay, that's who they are, this is what they do. Most of that, though, has come from a deep traverse of self and moving through so many layers and shadow elements of self, so much pain and fear, and that's what I'm honouring. I'm honouring the pain and the fear that we work through, that we move through, that we choose consciously to move through, to be this grand version that we can then give and be of service to ourselves and our own path, and of course the path of others that we care for, and even those that we don't know. This is the honouring, this is the homage that I'm paying right now, and I hope that we can all do this, that we can all see this and feel this. Is that we're honouring the pain and the fear and the unknown that people have traversed to be in a place, to come to a place, because this is the reality of duality, to come to a place where they now can love openly, where they can love without judgment, harsh judgment, where they can be compassionate and empathetic, where they can connect fully. This is what I'm honouring, the deep work that's being done every day, every moment. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful path to be on. It's an open path to be on. If you ever think life is really, really hard, and life can be really, really hard, and it can be super challenging, super difficult, and super fucking painful, and full of fear sometimes, the quickest way to change our state of being, the way we reflect on the world, the way we feel, the way we look at the world, the way we feel about ourselves, is to change and transmute our environment. Get yourself in the sun. Go to the beach. Go for a walk in the forest. Begin to see the world differently, so that you have varied possibilities that you can tap into instead of just one possibility, which is hate, fear, anger, oppression, defense, ego. And remember, ego is very useful. The way I'm using it in this, the term ego, in the way that I'm using it now, is the ego that keeps us locked into rigid behaviour, is the ego that keeps us locked into familiarity, even though it does not serve our path or the path of others, or it does not enrich and enlighten our relationships. Because the ego thrives on familiarity, because familiarity is comfort, comfort is safe, and we are self-preservation machines. Quickest way to change your state is to change your environment. I too am honoured, and that I'm deeply honoured to be on this journey. Deeply honoured and humbled once again, and I won't stop saying this unless I'm dead. EJ, I do see the work you do, and it is a deep healing journey, and just your words there, just to go from being abused by the masculine to loving men again. And again, there's so many subtleties to this masculine energy. It's not, the masculine energy does not just reside in men. And there's great complexity to this, and this is my point. This is my point, is that we're traversing this together, and women are really leading in this space, and men are leading as well, and women are leading in their own way. And there's this leadership that I'm so fond of, that I'm so deeply impressed by. Like I'm so deeply, I don't even have the words. I'm generally pretty good with words. I don't have the words it's a feeling, and it's immense, and it's incredible, and I can feel the world spinning differently. I can feel the world spinning differently, and that own masculine has been influenced by many years of externalized oppression by a very specific symbol, or specific symbols in our world, because we learn primarily through symbols, and that gets locked into our unconscious self, and our unconscious self is locked into our nervous system, and pain and trauma and fear is locked into our nervous systems, into our bodies. And that's perhaps a conversation for another time, but thank you. Thank you to the women, thank you to the men, thank you to every human being. However you identify yourself, thank you for being willing to traverse the depths of your own self, for being willing to explore the darkness and the light, the beautiful and the ugly, to traverse and observe and explore everything that you are, because that's where the work is done, and embracing that and accepting that and equilibrating and neutralizing that, and that is where the shift happens, and that is where I'm able to observe, we are able to observe these beautiful women just being so present, so forgiving, so open, and providing men an opportunity to be different. And I see women, and I see men as well, and I see all of us doing the deep work. No matter who you are, no matter how you identify yourself. Continue that journey, continue that path. Thank you so much for being here. Many blessings on your journey. Please share this video if it resonates. Share this video with someone that you care about. Share this video on your Facebook, on your public feed. Let's hope that people are able to connect to this and to the messages that you're presenting as well, that you are speaking to, and it's an honour to hold space for everybody here and to allow others to hold space for me as well. And thank you all for being here. Much love on your journey, of course. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next live feed. Take care and many blessings. Bye.